Hey everybody, thank you for joining me on this off-the-cuff update video. I think this is the third time in the past 8 weeks I've sat down to record something like this, and the situation keeps changing and keep kicking the can down the road, but there's really no more situation to change. And I know if I don't do this right now, I'm going to be laying in bed for the next hour and a half, tossing and turning, thinking about what I'm going to say when I record this, even though I need to be up for work in less than 8 hours. So let's get this ball rolling, shall we? A couple things to note about this video. First off is that it's barely going to be a video. There will be some on-screen elements, probably some unused gameplay footage just to fill a screen, but if you're doing something more productive or out for a Sunday drive, then please do not pay attention to the screen, but you're not missing anything. So if you give a damn, then this will be enough information for you. I don't feel like sitting in front of a camera for this. Second of all, are the kind of objectives and topics I want to cover in this. One will definitely deal with recent events, but I also want to talk about kind of short-term, long-term goals for the channel and stuff that will be auxiliary to it. So first things first, just thank you. Thank you beyond words, beyond comprehension. Your guys' understanding and sympathy and your own stories has been really overwhelming in response to one of my recent videos. Obviously, the one I'm referring to is This Is Sabrina. The response was unlike anything I thought I was going to get. Obviously, this being a kind of a technical channel, and with me trying to take as much of my personal life out of it as possible, I didn't really know what to expect, but I also knew I had no choice but to A, address the situation, but to B, give her a tribute that I thought was worthwhile. And obviously, not only have you guys seen that, but her close family and friends have seen that, and is even a slightly different edit for a lot of the services and stuff. But I wanted the world to know as well. And every single one of your comments I've read, and I appreciate, and my heart breaks for the things that you guys have shared, though I do appreciate you sharing those as well. I guess if there's any silver lining to come out of this is just how many people this woman touched, and she was more antisocial than me. It's kind of amazing. You know, I had so many industry contacts and content creators that operate on an exponentially larger scale than I do on this channel reach out and offer their condolences and their ear and support if I wanted it. And that doesn't even scratch the surface of the hundreds of, comments, hundreds of people, thousands of people actually that, watch this stuff that did the same. And I never really felt like when I'm talking into a camera that I'm talking to a stranger. I feel like I'm talking to each individual in a way. But this experience has only made that much more intimate. I mean, in fact, you guys know more than probably 90% of the people I come into contact with on a daily basis at work. A lot of them probably don't even know what has happened, or that, she existed, or that we were ever together. And I feel comfortable in that way sharing it with you all, because you do know me more. There are people out there that know me more as a professional, but you know more of who I am, what I stand for, my day-to-day operating values than most of those people. So if anyone's going to know, it needs to be you guys, and I want it to be you guys. With that leads into one comment that I read that asked if I would share the specifics of what happened, in the chance that, her story could help save someone else, or, provide guidance in some way. And you all know me, I'm all about the facts. I'm about as objective as it gets. And I feel as emotionally trying as this whole thing has been, I've tried to be objective about it as I can, especially, on this platform. With that said, I have zero qualms about sharing the good, the bad, the ugly, about all of it. However, I'm not the only one involved here. Yes, we lived together, but it's not just me that was in her life. She's got parents. She has every one of her grandparents that are still alive, countless aunts and uncles and cousins and all this stuff. And I'm not about to go up to every one of them in person and ask, do you feel comfortable if I shared the exact circumstances of all this stuff with thousands of people online? If they want to do that, they want to make that decision, I have, again, no issues with it. That's their call. But I feel that as hard as this has been already and as much progress I think that a lot of people have made in starting to heal a little bit from this situation, I don't want to open that can of worms. Beyond that, there is truly not a lot to take away from this situation on your guys' end that can really be conveyed across a YouTube video beyond what you can find on WebMD or with common sense. If you have symptoms, if something's going on, you feel funny, get it checked out, go to the damn doctor. And I need to take my own advice on that because it's been about 2 years since I've been due in no small part to some of this, but also because I'm a stereotypical American male and I feel fine. I don't want to go, so I need to do that as well on my many things that keep racking up on my short-term to-do list. But nonetheless, if you're not feeling better, get a second opinion. All these things that you shouldn't feel motivated to do just because you heard some guitar YouTuber say them on the internet. Take care of yourself. You can't take care of anybody or anything else unless you've got yourself taken care of. That's it. And sometimes you can still do the best you can, and it's not enough because life hands you a shit deck of cards, and that's that. So this is almost definitely the last time I'll speak about this subject on the channel for a good long while for obvious reasons. I'd like to return to some level of normalcy around here and let this be escape from the shit show that is our day-to-day existence. But what I will say is, first of all, I have considered grief counseling, but I'm not taken up on it because I feel I'm doing okay. I'm a little better every day. It doesn't hurt less. It's just easier to carry. And there's still the moment-to-moment things where I'm expecting a text message at work that I'm not going to get. I'm thinking about, well, who's cooking tonight? And remembering, oh, yeah, it's just me. The small shit is still, it's painful, but it's getting easier. And I feel at this point, not only can I probably predict 90% of the things that any counselor is going to say, but I've already had a lot of it just speaking with the, personal support group I already have. And at this point, it's going to feel more like retelling a nightmare to a stranger rather than actually working through anything new, not to mention my own personal rituals and I guess you could call them spiritual communications or whatever. So that is all to say I'm doing okay, and I think I'm on the right track. And if I ever feel differently, then I will change my habits and will look elsewhere. Finally, I'll end this subject by saying that I don't want to give this false impression that we had some fairy tale like perfect relationship. We were humans. It's impossible. I'd get on her nerves, she'd get on my nerves, we'd be on each other's nerves that we were on each other's nerves. It's just the way it's supposed to work. Obviously, that's not the time and place to talk about those kind of things during a tribute to someone's life and their lasting positive impression on you. But I don't want to show this fake Instagram filtered view on who she was and what she was to me, because that would belittle the significance of her and our relationship, because it was real and with all of its warts, with all of its faults. And that doesn't mean we didn't work. It just means, we had our normal human shit too. She never cared about getting married. I never cared about getting married. We never really want to have kids with each other. But if things had gone differently and if health wasn't a concern, I can pretty much guarantee we would have been married in a few years. And she would still bitch at me for loading the dishwasher away that she didn't like. And I'd laugh at it every time. So there's that. I'm going to miss her. Since that's about all I can stomach on that conversation, let's talk about the channel proper. So the last video that should have gone up was the Mercurial Rectifier review, which is one I've had in my back pocket for about 3 months now, give or take, for multiple reasons we'll get into here in a minute. But you should have noticed at the beginning, if you watched it, that there was a little disclaimer. It said something like recorded June 20 something 2022. And that's not going to be the last video you see. There's at least one more that I started production on before all this stuff happened, and it will be kind of dated around that time period as well, to give context to A, why I'm talking about some stuff as if it were more present than it actually is, and B, to kind of explain, it's not like my appearance changes that much, but you might notice a beard trim or something here and there. But mostly just to denote that, yes, this stuff has been in the pipeline a while, and it's not like I've been just sitting on it for no reason. It's, it's just been kind of on hold. With the rectifier review, that one was ready to go in June, and I would have put it out pretty much immediately, but the product announcement was delayed because Russia got slapped with a lovely embargo by all the Western countries, which is a great way, by the way, to punish a government that you take offense with, is to restrict all their private citizens from making money. That's a really galaxy brain move. Gotta love that. So, of course, the Russia-based developer Mercurial could not make money on a product, so they weren't going to release it yet. They have since figured out a credit card-based workaround, so you may not be able to purchase Antbox and Rectifier the way that you're used to, but you can at least purchase it, which is a good thing. So that's a nice development, and it's another reason I put that timestamp there, because none of that stuff had happened yet. Not that I would talk about it really in a significant manner, at least in a product or a review about the product. I'm not really talking about political climates here. Try to stay away from that as far as possible on a guitar-based YouTube channel. This is kind of about trying to bring different people together over a common interest, not rip people to shreds. With that, the video that should be following this one will finally cover the Fractal Audio Systems FM9. That one's been in production for a couple months now, because every time I sit down to make presets or record for the video, I end up just noodling and getting lost in the effects and having a blast playing guitar, just like I do every time I plug into any Fractal Audio Systems device. But that one is about ready to go as I record this, and that'll trickle out in a little bit, and that'll take care of most of my backlog of things that are already kind of ready to go. Probably the video directly after that one, I'm going to wrap up the B-side of the Randall RG100 Tone Engineer series. I think we're not going to be covering too much in the sense of brand spanking new tones. We'll probably have heard some elements of it in prior videos, but I think the way I'm doing it and the gimmick, if you will, and the guitars that we're using, and especially the riffs I'm using, will make it a lot of fun. And I think it just kind of ties the whole package together neatly and explores sounds that I think actually fit that amplifier better than a lot of the way some people are using it, which just goes to show how great of a platform it is. But it was a satisfying one to sit down and record riffs for, and I can't wait to hear the fully produced version of it. After that, I don't really have a hard set in stone video order or schedule in terms of like this one has to come out before this one and this one goes after this one. And there's a few like pairings or triads of videos that I would want to schedule a certain way relative to one another. But there's just a lot of stuff that I want to do, and I got the stuff to do it. It's just getting to it, obviously. But getting to it is going to very much depend on the pace at which I complete this musical project that I've been working on and off for 2 years now. And that is so frustrating to even say, because at this current moment, instrumentally, it's pretty much done. All the leads, all the rhythm guitars, bass guitar, drums, everything's been reamped, it's mixed, it's approximately mastered. I think it sounds killer as is, and by the time I continue tweaking it and making some final adjustments, I think it's going to be awesome. It's basically missing vocals. There will be vocals on this one, and some, After Effects touches here and there, maybe throw in some overdub effects and things like that. But lyrically, there's one song that is complete in terms of content, the writing, and everything else is no less than 70% done with the writing. Just got to keep practicing, and when I feel like it, it'll all be done in a weekend, because that's what this album has been, this EP more accurately, is I'll just get a block of time and never really plan on it and just sit down and, okay, change some strings, let's do it. And then I do it, and then it's done for each instrument. But it just hasn't happened yet for vocals. And like I said, I want to get this really good, and have a bunch of content for you guys to enjoy that relates to it, like behind the scenes footage, and maybe a playthrough or two to really encapsulate it and tie it in with the channel. And then there's all sorts of offshoots that can be related to that, whether it be tone engineers or, some little guitar lesson-y things here and there, diving through the mix and master, all that shit. So that's why I can't say, well, after this video, I'm definitely going to do this pedal head and definitely going to do this whatever, because depending on where that falls, that might be a good 2 months worth of stuff. But that is in the works. And when it happens, you'll know. You'll be sick of hearing about it. Whatever the case, whether it be before, during, or after that whole album thing, there are a few landmark videos that I definitely want to get to, come hell or high water. And since you've stuck it out this long, I figured I'd go ahead and let you in on what some of those are. One of which will be a hard clippers edition of Pedalhead. I kind of want to take a bit of a break, use the FM3 versus AX8 stuff as a mid-season finale, if you will, and go back and look at the early evolution of hard clipping circuits. Kind of given a good hard look at soft clippers. We looked at some of the later stuff that came in the hard clipping chain. So I think it'd be cool to kind of meet in the middle, go back and look at the early circuits like the Distortion Plus, and of course the Rat, the DS1, and would have kind of a new set of ears to look at those and see just how much you can do with those, and compare, contrast the normal stuff. But definitely want to give that one its fair shake. Another will be a gear curiosity centering around the Marshall Valve State 8100, the legendary Chuck Schuldiner later amp used in Death, early Fear Factory, Cannibal Corpse, In Flames, Dying Fetus. It's basically the mono version that Friedrich Thorndahl used on Contradictions Collapse and a lot of his solo stuff. The list can go on and on. So there's a lot of ground to cover with that in all four modes, and I'm really looking forward to exploring that further in other videos. And finally, what I would consider perhaps a capstone to the first 5 years of this channel, although it's been going on longer than that, which is kind of crazy, but one that explores a core decision I made early on to go with a certain modeling platform, is Kemper versus the Line 6 Pod Go versus the FM3. That video is happening because, one, I want to get rid of all those things at some point, but two, because I want to see, does it really validate my choice? And I want to see, for all these companies that have had better part of, a decade and a half or two or more, if you're Line 6, just how well does it all stack up in a way that I want to see it? Because no one has made the shootout that I want to see to the T. And to be fair, the one I make is not exactly what you're going to want to see, but I'm going to do it as best I can, as objectively where it makes sense as I can, but also as non-objectively as I can where that makes sense as well. That's going to be a beast. It's going to be a long time coming. I've got most of the presets made for it though, but there's a lot of work I got to do beforehand before I even hit the record button on those presets, because there's going to be a lot of real amps and pedals involved as well, which is one of the things that most people miss, is a control group. Because if you're just pitting one versus the other, it's not really a shootout as much as it is, you're trying to make each one sound like each other. In this case, I'll be trying to make these things sound like a real source, which one gets closest. And, we'll be taking a look at that individually on an amp by amp basis, on amp plus pedals. I think it's going to be really good, but that's a ways out. In the meantime, we got a lot of stuff to cover. And like I said, I'm not going anywhere. Just going to take things at my own pace. And as long as I'm excited about it, I'll be here. And I hope you guys are excited about it too. Thank you so much for listening to this and sticking with me through this shit show the past couple of months, and really a past year for me personally. And I think better part of 3 years for a lot of us in general. It's been rough, but But we got to keep moving forward. Do what you love. Enjoy the time that you have with the people that you love. And fuck the rest. Honestly, do what you got to do to live. Do a good job. Don't hurt anybody, but really fuck the rest, because who knows how much time you really have. Sincerely, from the bottom of my coal black heart, thank you so very much. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.